to continue the series, the next team that we are going to be going over is the Buffalo Bills. This is our off-season, our off-season preview or preseason preview of the 2025 season. Is that the right way to say it?
There you go.
If you guys haven't watched the other two videos, we've already done the Chiefs, we've already done the Eagles. We're going to be doing every single team in the NFL. What we do in this series is we're going to go over the previous season, some storylines, some positive stats from the previous season. And then we're going to go into the off-season, 2025 off-season as they get ready for this season. And then we are going to then give our final predictions for what we think are going to happen for this team in this upcoming year. Like I said, we already done the Chiefs and the Eagles, and now we're going to go into the Buffalo Bills, which the Buffalo Bills last season went 13-4, first in the AFC East, and then in the playoff run, wild card 31-7 versus the Broncos, absolutely thumped them. That felt good because Bo Nix scored a bomb touchdown, and our friend Brady, who is a Broncos fan, texted us in a group chat and said that it was that he wasn't worried and the game was over. And then they continued to give up 31 unanswered points and lose the game. So really happy that happened. Divisional round, 27-25 versus the Ravens. Lamar at the end of the game leads a touchdown drive, 2-point conversion with maybe the most infamous Mark Andrews drop in the corner to literally walk in, maybe ever. And that one stings. And then in the AFC Championship, nothing new here. 29-32, they lost to the Chiefs. Do you have anything that you want to say about this Bills team this last season?
I guess it'll be later, but like just touching on Josh Allen MVP season, I did predict him to be MVP as we were doing the season preview last year. So I just want to pat myself on the back for that. But all in all, it basically is the same story with the Buffalo Bills. They make it relatively deep in the playoffs, and the Kansas City Chiefs end up being their kryptonite, as we've seen how many times before.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it is time to have, I know that you hate when people say this, but it is time to have that conversation about Josh Allen. Just because it feels like out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, he kind of gets to evade a lot of the hate that a lot of other guys get, despite his entire career not being able to get over the hump. I'm a little tired of the narrative around like Josh Allen, and like that comes from like the fans and it comes from the media as well, where it feels like everybody's constantly catering to Josh Allen, and I'm like tired of like the sob story a little bit. And I think you said something about, well, first I want to say it starts with the NFL changed a rule that literally stood for 20 years just because Josh Allen didn't get an opportunity to get the ball, which was literally a rule change stemmed from the Buffalo Bills. And then you said something about this MVP award. I mean, this has to be the most undeserving MVP of all time. It felt like that this was an opportunity for the media and the people who vote for MVP to kind of like check a box. Lamar Jackson, 4,100 yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 77.3 QBR, first, 915 rushing yards, and four touchdowns. There was quite literally nothing that Josh Allen did better than Lamar last season. EPA per play, Lamar first, Josh Allen second. Success rate, Lamar fourth, Josh Allen sixth. Completion percentage over expectation, Lamar fourth, Josh Allen 20th. I think that even going down to Lamar plays in a tougher division than Josh Allen. I can go on and on about this, and we will when we talk about the Ravens, because I felt like it was very underdeserving. But what do you think of that, of my notion of like, I'm a little tired of of people kind of catering to like this Josh Allen and this Bills team, where it feels like at this point, even with like awards and rule changes and whatever comes in the future, it feels like they're getting a little bit of a special treatment. And when teams start to get that kind of treatment, like you think of like the Chiefs with the whistle, that they seem to get every single whistle. The Bills are starting to enter into that same sort of category for me. And it feels like people are okay with it, but I'm to the point now where if one more thing happens with this Bills team, like I hope everybody starts jumping on board with the hate train that I'm on.
I'll start with the Lamar thing. I completely agree with you that Lamar should have been the MVP, and we've said that how many times since Josh Allen was given the award. I just wanted to brag that I got it right is all.
Yeah, that's fine.
The the playoff part of it, I'm not mad at the rule. I like the rule. Um, I wish it would have come under different circumstances because then it kind of does just pin it on one team and one player. And I don't necessarily think that's fair because I feel like a lot of people are probably okay with that rule being changed. But now it just looks like the Bills and Josh Allen is like kind of a crybaby for that. So I
Yes.
understand the hatred for that, like the negativity around that. But I'm all for that rule being changed. Um, the getting over the hump part of it, I can't sit here and really blame Josh Allen for the defensive woes after I read about how phenomenal he's been in the playoffs. He's been pretty much let down in all of these games versus the Chiefs on the defensive side of the ball. And I can read you some stats that I have here.
I don't care about just on like a surface level. I don't care about really any stats. I'm not saying Josh Allen isn't a good player because there's a lot of great players who are in a similar situation that Josh Allen's in and get a ton of hate. So that is where I want equal accountability to be held on Josh Allen. Like, for example, the 13-second game or whatever it was, like that is on the Bills as a unit to leave zero time left on the clock and make sure that they don't get the ball back. Like I'm not gonna
Yeah.
obviously the defense like let up that play and let them get back into the game, but also at the same time, like that's also on the offense for allowing any time left on the clock at all. That's a team mistake. So, and we could go into that. I'm not saying Josh Allen's not a talented player. Not
Oh no,
saying that he doesn't play well in the playoffs, but when it comes down to it, every single time he cannot get it done. And just as, like I said, just as every other player who I'm just going to use Lamar, for example, when Lamar gets talked about in the playoffs, this is all on Lamar. And Lamar is pretty much putting up the same sort of performances as Josh Allen is. I gave the example when he was playing the Bills. He led a touchdown drive with under 2 minutes left, scored a touchdown, and then Mark Andrews dropped the football. And then you have guys go on. I was thinking, who did I just listen to? Nick Wright is on podcasts talking about how like Lamar Jackson like always lets down in the playoffs. It's like, okay, well, if that's your take, then you should also have that take about Josh Allen. That is where all of this stems from, is like why does Josh Allen get to evade the heat as much as everybody else? That, like I said, everybody's a talented player. I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm not saying he's not good. But quite literally, Josh Allen cannot get over the hump at all.
Why don't we change the narrative of like giving these guys heat to like, because I don't think it's Lamar's fault either. Like that was Mark Andrews should have caught that pass, and Lamar did. Lamar had a phenomenal game. I don't think either him or Josh Allen deserve slander for the things that have happened in the playoffs for them. It just so happens that they're going up against one of the greatest in Mahomes and Andy Reid combo, and so be it. I mean, I get why it happens because it is a talking point and like that's just what happens. But I'm all for changing the narrative of blaming these quarterbacks when at the end of the day, like Lamar and Josh Allen have both gone out there and put up very good playoff performances. It's more so just a quarterback thing, I guess, because at the end of the day, that's who everybody turns to. If you lose a big game, it's the quarterback's fault almost by default. Um, so instead of just hating on Josh Allen more, let's just turn the narrative to, well, we shouldn't be hating on Lamar Jackson at all, because they both deserve praise because they both played really well.
Yeah, they both. That's not the reality though of the situation. I understand what you're saying, but like that's just like not really going to happen. But what I guess, do you think I'm overreacting, or do you think I'm validated to feel the way that I feel, that at this point, like the Josh Allen love is like to the point where it's like I think of like the Lions. Like, remember when the Lions were like feisty and fun and like everything was good? And then we made a video like when all of the injuries happened and they were like, yeah, like this team can't make the Super Bowl. And all their fans were like in our comments, like talking
Yeah.
about like how stupid we were and like they were going to win the Super Bowl and all that. Newsflash, they lost to the Commanders. But like this is how right now I'm getting that same sort of feeling of that Josh Allen type of buzz around, like that type of buzz around Josh Allen is what
Like he
I
can do no
am
wrong.
saying, that he can do no wrong, when in reality he is in the same on the same playing field as a lot of these guys. And honestly, the thing that really set me off is him getting handed an MVP. That was an extremely undeserving MVP, no matter how you cut it. And if you disagree with that, I mean, I can't help you.
The same thing happens in the NBA, where it's just like people get tired of giving an MVP out to the same person. I mean, we both sat here and watched Lamar Jackson play and talked about him all year long, and the stats that he put up were incredible. It almost makes you, it like, when I looked at it, and I said this to you, it feels insane looking at his stats and thinking that he didn't win it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
In
I
a
the
tougher in
critic,
a tougher division. Like, I mean,
yeah,
that division that the Bills were in last season was a train
it's
wreck.
one team. It's one team
Yeah.
in that division. Um, but yeah, I agree with you. I think that that's totally fair. I think the same criticism that Lamar gets is what Josh Allen should get, because neither one of them have played in a Super Bowl.
No.
So
It just that I'm throwing out my analysis of that. I know that like Bills fans will cry over that statement, but like when you get an MVP handed to you and you get a rule change and you do no wrong in the eyes of anybody, there are going to be haters, and that's me. So like just get used to it, because I will, like, not that I'm like I never want to see Josh Allen get over the hump. That is the when I am viewing the Bills and watch them on a week to week basis, I don't want them to win. I don't like their team at all. I don't like their fan base. I don't like Josh Allen, and they all really annoy me.
that's fair.
Listen, I might be
You're not one with Bill's Mafia.
I mean, I might be shooting at the hip a little bit, but like I am just so sick and tired of these Bills fans. I really am. They haven't done shit, and they act like they can do no wrong. But we can move on. The snapshot from last season. I mean, this was an all-time special football team, plain and simple. Total DVOA was plus 38.6%, second in the NFL, top 5 historically. Offensive DVOA, second. Defensive DVOA, second. This team was so well rounded, and if you watch them on a week to week basis, I mean, that backs it up completely. Their style change of stop having Josh Allen try to be Superman and throwing on the cape and doing everything. It was, let's play clock control football and let's eliminate Josh Allen making mistakes, because over the years, the biggest critique of Josh Allen's game has been the unnecessary interceptions that kind of hurt his team. And it was boneheaded mistakes. It was always when he was trying to do too much. and they kind of really stretched that back. And I mean, the defense was better because of it, because he wasn't putting the defense in bad situations with these turnovers, and the offense was just all-time efficient.
I have some pushback on the defense because I understand that the turnover margin is a significant thing. Um, that defense got bailed out by the amount of turnovers that they forced.
Yeah, they
Their
led the
turnover
league in
margin
turnovers,
was 24. Their turnover margin was 24, which is like outrageous.
playing with their heads
They
cut off.
they were very much the definition of like the absolute bend don't break, because in the grand scheme of things they weren't great defensively, but they made up for it for the amount of turnovers that they forced, which is
But they
makes me
were.
nervous for this season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's more of a critique of the upcoming season than the body of
right.
work that they put on.
Correct.
Last year, they were an all-time great defense. They were
Yeah, it
second
was
second in the league. Like, they were just a
they
good team. Was
they
it
gave up 21.6 points per game, which was sixth in the NFL, and they put up as an offense 30.9, which was second. So yes, in the grand scheme of yet last year, they were very well rounded.
Yeah, and I think no matter what, I mean, obviously it's 10 like second, and like if you're not like a top 4 defense, you're not a Super Bowl defense, but I think at this point, no matter who is thrown out on the field with Sean McDermott as the head coach, he's going to be able to put together a top 10 defense. Like I said, his ability to just pretty much be okay with rolling out all of these defenses and being at the top of the league, like he's kind of gotten the nod over the last few years to be able to do that. I mean, even get the year before they even got Josh Allen, they were a playoff team. So he's proven that even over this time, even before Josh Allen was and when Josh Allen was in this developmental stage, that he's always able to put out a top defense and be impactful. So, but again, good point with you said with the turnover differential. They led the league at plus 24. Like I said, I think that's probably something that we can take into account when previewing for this upcoming season. But the body of work that they put on this year, I mean, it was almost a masterclass.
I mean, yeah, 24 winning the turnover margin at plus 24 is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
they were
almost thought it was
balling.
fake. I thought it was fake. So it bailed them out a lot because they had they were not good when it came down to getting to the red zone, but they were really good at not giving up touchdowns and forcing turnovers. Which, like I said, that leaves me weary for this upcoming season.
Definitely. I just wanted to highlight some standouts on Buffalo offensive line. That unit is like always fully healthy. They play a ton of snaps together, and they're a very cohesive unit. And I think that that's always really important when you look at who the top offensive lines are first guys who have played together maybe for a few seasons, and then just the ability to be able to play together for the full year and not having guys in and out of the rotation. Because if once that starts happening, then like if one domino falls on the offensive line, it kind of messes up everything. So I want to say shout out to them. And then although statistically it probably isn't going to really pop out to you, James Cook really leveled up his play this season. And there were times and in games where you saw him be relied on all 3 downs in the passing game, the whole 9, and really take that step forward in his career. Like I said, it might not have showed up on the statistics. Josh Allen's a big vulture for a lot of these rushing touchdowns, but there were games where when James Cook was in that mode, you could tell that the Buffalo Bills were like damn near unstoppable.
Yeah, he had 1,000 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns. We talked about this when we did the top 10 running back video, but James Cook should have had 20 touchdowns, no problem last year.
Yeah.
Josh Allen had 12 rushing touchdowns, and the amount of touches that James Cook has gotten, like, less than 10 touches inside the 5-yard line in his entire career.
Crazy.
And if you give him a couple more, I'm betting that he's finding the end zone and finishing with 20 touchdowns on the season. But when you have a guy like Josh Allen, it just makes things a little bit easier as an offense and puts way more pressure on the defense because of how much of a threat he is once you get inside any point of the field, but especially the 5-yard line.
Definitely.
Another thing that I wanted to say, you mentioned about the health. I think that really goes for a lot of the team too. There's a stat here that each week one starter played 900 plus snaps and only right tackle Spencer Brown missed a game. The rest of their week one starters played the entire season in 2024.
That's crazy.
So that's another thing that worries me about 2025.
Just some
but
health.
We're not quite there yet. Yeah.
Just some storylines, and this is a real simple one. Is like, it was, can they get over the hump? And the answer was no. I feel like obviously they had to play an overtime with the Ravens, but who knows what could have happened at that point. But a bad Mark Andrews drop really bailed them out of having to figure that out. And then the Chiefs were so beatable this season. They weren't very good. Even how many points the Chiefs put up against them, like the Chiefs put up 32 points. That was one of their highest scoring games the entire season. Just as well-rounded as this team was, to go out in the AFC Championship and kind of play your worst game against a very beatable Chiefs team. I mean, that's just another one on the list that Bills fans, Bills in general, Josh Allen, everyone would really love to have back.
And it's just this is why. So McDermott, Andy Reid just has the book on Sean McDermott defensively. And I don't know what he needs to change. I think at this point, it's just they just need to have better players on defense. I think that's probably going to be the only difference that really will get Buffalo over the hump, because they've had good players here and there, and they've put together really quality defenses. But until they get to a point where their defense is I mean, it has to be a they need to have like a defensive playmaker along like the secondary or something along those lines. I really feel like they haven't had that in a few years. And I think that's something that will take this Buffalo Bills team to the next level and will allow them to beat the Chiefs, because what happens is the same thing every year. The Chiefs come in, they put up 30 plus points, and although Josh Allen and the offense puts up 28, like 29, that's not cutting it. And especially in a year where the Chiefs were not good offensively, for them to still go out there and put up 32 points, it just goes to show Andy Reid just has Sean McDermott's number. It's crazy.
I feel like they've tried to get the playmakers and guys who we have considered playmakers for them always somehow seem to get like major injuries, like the Von Miller signing, Tre'Davious White a few years ago before he had like the Achilles ACL. Like, all of these guys are supposed to be those elevators on defense, and it just feels like they run into injury trouble. So that's not an excuse. I think that, like, even if you were saying like we're putting a lot of our faith into Von Miller, that was crazy. Like, looking back on it now,
yeah.
But he was like, once he got hurt, he was like non-existent almost, like, for this Bills team over the past few years. So, but that was like one of those signings when they made it. He was viewed as that player to be that playmaker for them and make big plays. So I think that the intention was there. but health of those guys obviously played a big part of that.
But I know that was their intention, but we look here at Von Miller at that point, and it's like, okay,
Von Miller off the Rams. Von Miller the year after the Rams was a very highly touted like free agent. Like people wanted him. So I will push back there. After that year though, that he got hurt, and then the years after, I agree with you. Like he's
that's my point, is like you and I were not expecting him to go in there and be the guy that completely shapeshifts a defense, right? But that was their thought. Bringing in an older Von Miller is, in my opinion, not the move necessarily that would have put them over the hump defensively and would have made that much of a difference.
At the time, I definitely thought at the time he could still rush the passer. And then obviously I was proven that he can't do that anymore. So, but like I said, I think just health of key players obviously plays a major role. Like these guys aren't going down with like a sprained ankle. Like they're like tearing their knee, tearing their Achilles, like major injuries. And I mean, even guys who are like glue guys and key pieces for them on their defense now and last season, it seems like they always go down. Like they're always having multiple injuries on this defense every single season. But
yeah.
Going into the 2025 offseason, their roster losses kind of a lot. Amari Cooper, he retired. Matt Collins, Rasul Douglas, DeMar Hamlin left and then re-signed, I believe. Ty Johnson, Von Miller, Tommy Doyle, Kyer Elam, and then Micah Hyde. Those are a lot of names that played football for them last year. So,
yeah, they're. See, I don't really think any of like Matt Collins, Amari Cooper, whatever. That's fine. Matt Collins had his moments here and there. He was fine.
So you think none of these names matter going out the door?
Not necessarily, just because of, like I said, I think they were so reliant on turnovers last season defensively, and I think that as long as you have Josh Allen at the helm, I think you're probably going to be okay on offense. I said this last year going into the season that I think Josh Allen was going to have one of his best years now that he didn't have a true number one wide receiver, and he goes out and wins the MVP. So as long as you're putting formidable, playable guys around him on the offensive side of the ball and they can stay healthy, I think Josh Allen can make up for a lot of inefficiencies on the offensive side of the football.
Let's remember that take when we get to the Packers in a few episodes. In free agency, they added Joey Bosa, Michael Hoyt, Larry Ogunlabi. I think that's how you say his last name.
Ogwinijoy, something like that.
Trey White, he's back. Dane Jackson, Derek Forrest, safety. Laviska Shenault, wide receiver, returner. DeMar Hamlin resigned. Josh Palmer, wide receiver. Elijah Moore, wide receiver. I honestly don't hate what they're doing at wide receiver. I like Josh Palmer. He's like 26 years old and like pretty decent. Mm-hmm. He's been getting like glowing like results at camp. Like he's always been like a good player. He's just been kind of banged up. Elijah Moore obviously had that big season one year in with the Jets where it felt like he was kind of going to be the future of the Jets a little bit, like before what's his name got there? Garrett Wilson. And then he went to the Browns, and it just over and over again, it just feels like it hasn't worked out. But why can't it work out with this Buffalo Bills team if he can get those types of looks? I don't know how much he's going to play, just because it feels like probably why can't Khalil Shakir probably plays the same position as he would, like that slot type role.
Yeah.
But I like what they're doing. I mean, they're obviously addressing the secondary, signing multiple corners, signing safety, multiple safeties, and then still trying to figure out that wide receiver position where they're taking dart throws at guys who are talented, who can play a role. They're obviously not going to like dominate and be like an AJ Brown or something like that, but like they can still play high level football. So, and then Joey Bosa, I know people are probably hot and cold on him and like what they think of him as a player. I still think he's pretty good. I still think he can rush the passer. I think probably his biggest question mark every single season is just trying to be healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it similarly probably to the Von Miller situation where it's like, okay, he's not at his best, but if he can stay healthy, like he'll probably be somewhat decent for them. But they really went out there and they did this in the draft too and just went all defense. Um, they really addressed a lot of issues. Well, they went and tried to just improve the defense overall, which I give them a lot of respect for. Um, I don't know how it'll pan out. I won't sit here and act like I know a ton about a lot of the guys that they drafted. Um, but we'll see. If you know anything about some of these guys, feel free.
Yeah, draft recap. Maxwell Hairston. That I said it during like the draft process. That's like the most Bills pick of all time. Just a fast, like shutdown type corner. I think he's probably going to be pretty decent. I don't see why not. I know he's banged up. Hopefully he's fine. And then they go edge, D tackle, corner, tight end, corner, tackle, wide receiver. Honestly, this offseason, like I give them like a pretty high grade. I don't know, not an A, but I think like a B plus. I mean, you went out, you addressed every single position that you could have possibly addressed in the secondary, in the trenches, wide receiver. And not only did they do that, they gave themselves a little bit of room to have some depth at some of those positions as well. I guess what's really not to like about like this offseason? I mean, if you can't get the James Cook deal done and if he's actually serious about not playing, which I'd be shocked if that was the case, then obviously I will have some concerns about like this team just because I don't love Ray Davis as like your starting running back going into the season, like him as a
No.
complimentary piece a lot. But I think James Cook, like I said, he unlocked a lot of what they did last year. So other than that, like if they can get that deal done, I mean, like I said, I give this like offseason like a B plus. I just think that they're a really talented team.
Yeah, they addressed a lot of the things that needed addressed this offseason. The James Cook deal, I also think it'll be fine at the end of the day. I don't think he'll actually sit out. But yeah, if they don't have him, this offense is a different story. Joe Brady took over, and I think he's done a very good job. I think he's taken um, some of the pressure off of Josh Allen as far as feeling like he needs to make every single play, and that offense being as healthy as they were and James Cook being as good as as good as he was last year, I think it just makes things a lot easier on Josh Allen where he doesn't have to go out there and be Superman. And that was directly reflected with him going out and having the least amount of interceptions in his career. So I do like the way that this offense is shaped out. I need to see Keon Coleman maybe take another step. I think he was fine, like just the bare minimum of fine. But all in all,
I think he might
I
lose
don't
his
hate.
start. I think that's somebody that could lose their starting spot this year.
You think
Yeah,
he
I
was
think
first
Josh
round pick? I feel like you got to do a little bit more than that.
I think Josh Palmer could easily take his spot.
They're two different types of receivers, though.
In what manner?
Body.
I mean, they do the same. They play the same position at wide receiver. Like, obviously, they're different. I just didn't think Keon Coleman was like he didn't jump off the page. And
No, he
everything
didn't.
that you've heard about Keon Coleman, I'm not coming. He's hilarious. I like him. All that stuff. Just what you hear about Keon Coleman is his ability to kind of grasp like the offensive like
Yeah.
system in general. And I think that if a guy who is just as good as him and smarter than him from like a football IQ perspective, I could easily see that his position getting taken. I don't think that he is like a locked in. I don't think he did enough last year to just be like locked in as like their X going into this year.
Well, wouldn't it be Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Josh Palmer? Who was their third? Wasn't it Mac Hollins was their wide receiver 3?
I mean, we can look at their depth
I'm looking
chart
at
real
it.
quick.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir in the slot, and then Palmer on the backside.
Yeah, I stand by my statement still. I think that could be somebody that position can be lost by him.
I think if anybody's taking that, it could be Elijah Moore. He's the
Yeah,
wide receiver 4 at this point.
sure. Well, it sounds like Josh Palmer's already started.
Yeah,
So
he
it'd be
is.
hard for him to take a position if he's already started.
Yeah, that is
Okay.
correct.
So Vegas win total 11.5, kind of similar to everybody else for some reason. To make the playoffs -700, to win the AFC East -260, AFC Championship +360, Super Bowl +700, Josh Allen MVP +550. I mean, if you bet on any of these, your bankroll better be like 10 grand a unit or something like that. There's no value on any of this stuff. Even last year going into the season, Allen MVP odds were like they were like +900 or something like that. I don't really foresee him going back to back. I mean, unless if he goes nuclear or something like that, but even if he replicates the season or has a little bit better of a season than he had last year, I think that there is a potential that other guys could probably have better seasons than him. I just don't love the value on any of this stuff. You would pretty much need them to play a perfect season on both sides of the football to get anything out of this. So I wouldn't, me personally, I'm not betting on them any futures.
The only thing that actually caught my eye was a James Cook Offensive Player of the Year bet, but that would have to be like they decide we're just going to give
Is
him.
he like that?
We're just going to have to give.
I
him
like
all
James
touches.
Cook. I like James Cook. Is he like that? Do you think? No.
I mean, I don't think so. No, but
No.
you are a value hunter.
Yeah.
And it's +7,500.
Yeah, that's great. Great odds. Great odds. I just don't know. I don't know if he is like that personally.
No, he would have to eclipse like he'd have to add another 800 yards on to what he did last year.
Yeah.
On the ground.
Literally.
Yeah. And then he'd have to score 5 more touchdowns.
Yeah. I don't know. That would be crazy. I would be shocked.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I like where your head's at.
I'm just trying to give people a diverse portfolio. I also have Ed Oliver, Defensive Player of the Year, written down here for +12,000.
We're moving on. 2025 season predictions. I'm just going to say mine. I'm just going to keep it short just because I don't think that there's much competition within this division for the Bills. They own the Miami Dolphins. I think that they'll own the Jets this season. I think that they will probably split with the New England Patriots. The Patriots won a game against them when they shouldn't have, either last year or the year before. I forget when it was. And the Patriots stunk. So I like the new iteration of the Patriots and where they're at. So I just like them to split that. The rest of it, I just see them having 12 wins, take a little bit of a step back, still hit their win total. But I mean, one game worse. Like I don't think that that's that crazy. What I'm looking for really is just their skill players like a James Cook continue to get better. I think he needs to get better. I think Dalton Kincaid needs to get better. He obviously can't block, and that's a lot of the reason why Dawson Knox is probably going to start over him. But when he is out on the field and he does get targets, I want to see him make the most of those targets. I know he was like hurt last year and all that, but he was really disappointing, especially if you're a fantasy person, where he was advertised last season to be he's Allen's only target. He's super talented. He's going to get 100. He's going to get 100+ targets. Blah, blah, blah. It was the complete opposite of that. Every time he stepped on the field, he looked bad. So that is somebody that I want to see take a next step. James Cook continue to get better. You mentioned Keon Coleman, the receiving core in totality to take a step up, and then continued high-level defensive play. Like I said, I don't think that it's going to be a possibility for them to get 24 in the turnover differential next season and be first. But I do think that they have the ability to be a top 10 defense no matter what. And I don't think that matters as much in the regular season as it is going to matter in the postseason. So I'm just this is gonna be the same thing that the Bills happen every year. I think that they're gonna win 12 games. I think they're gonna go to the playoffs. And then if they run into a Ravens, if they run into a team that I think is better than them, I think that they drop it. I don't think that this team, as constructed, is a Super Bowl team, because it feels like they had a team, they thought that could win a Super Bowl. It didn't. They ripped it down to the studs. They rolled this team out last year. It wasn't enough to win a Super Bowl. They're kind of ripping it down to the studs again. I don't think that there's enough talent on the defensive side of the football. I don't think that there's enough talent on the offensive side of the football. And I don't think that Josh Allen, when you are as good as he is, I don't think when you're asking him to solve all the problems possible, that is doing what's best for your football team. And with that, him being your best player and not being able to do that without showing signs of bad turnovers and untimely turnovers, I just don't see this team taking that next step. So I think that if they match up with the Broncos or the Steelers or something like that in the wild card round, they stomp them. I'm not saying that, but the next step, I don't think that they have enough juice to get over the hump.
So you mentioned that their win line or their win total is 11.5. I actually have them going under because of how healthy 11-6 is what I have them at. Still have them at first in that division. We talked a lot about the turnover differential. That really worries me because of how obviously insane a stat that is. They were so healthy on offense, and they had just an insane amount of turnovers forced that really bailed them out a lot. I don't see that same thing happening this season. Realistically, I would expect that number to decrease into like 10 or less, around 10.
It's fair.
And at that number, I just think you only really get to like 11 wins. And then again, the health of this offense, like I said, all of these guys played 900 plus snaps besides one. I think having Josh Allen is an automatic 10 wins for you, but I think there's just also a lot of unknown on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of faces to replace. But at the same time, I look at their schedule. They play Baltimore. They play these big games at home, which I think is a huge advantage for them. So they have Baltimore at home. They have Kansas City at home. They play Philly at home, which I think all that works in their favor. But those are still three really tough games on top of, like you said, I think they split with the Patriots too. And then I just think they drop two more along the way somewhere. But ultimately, I do think this team could end up in another AFC championship. I need to see what this defense looks like first. But Josh Allen's just been phenomenal in the playoffs. And as long as they're not playing the Chiefs in the second round, I think it's pretty much a toss-up. I think the Ravens are going to be – I think they're just as good as the Ravens majority of the years. But like I said, my biggest thing is seeing how this defense pans out. So, yeah, I got them at 11-6, but to win their division.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there's a massive talent gap on just for the Ravens and the Bills.
But I thought the Ravens were that much better last year. I thought the Ravens were that much better last year, and that was a one score game.
Yeah, but I still think that like your at ease of the Bills is like lack of like talent and like lack of like not big names, but guys who are like known commodities and like big dogs. Like that's all the Ravens have, like on defense.
They do. Yes,
and
correct.
Offense. So I would just give the Ravens, me personally, the nod over the Bills of being a more talented football team.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think they are, and I think we know more of what the Ravens are because they have guys that we know. Yeah. I just think the Bills' defensive side of the football is we don't really know a whole lot.
They're well coached, and they're well coached.
But they're very well coached. Yeah, so that's what I think makes up for the talent gap. that the Ravens have over them.
Nice. Sounds like we're both a little down on the Bills while being up on them at the same time too.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, how are you going to? Obviously, you can be better than 13-4, but come on,
It's a big
is
ask.
that really? Winning 13 games is so impressive. To do that back-to-back years is tough.
It's a big ask.
I just spit it.